Alright guys, welcome to today's video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about skill-based matchmaking, and a term I have coined for players that I see in the classic mix playlist. And if you've been playing the game, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about when I say this, even if you've never heard this term before, and you probably haven't. But the term is classic mix cowards. Now, you're thinking, what on earth is this guy going on about? Well, let me explain. So basically, if you don't know, with the introduction of Shadowkeep, there have been huge changes to the Crucible Director. You can see here we've got a bunch of new modes now, or not new modes, but just everything's been reshuffled. Before, you would have quick play and you would have competitive. That was literally your only two options that you had. Then we'd have private matches and one weekly rotator. So you'd have quick play here, like Mayhem here, and competitive here. And that's basically all you had. Now, it's changed. You can see we've got private matches, we've got survival, we've got control, we've got rumble, we've got Team Scorch, which is a weekly rotator. We have Labs Elimination, and we have Countdown. These two at the top here, these are rotating playlists that will swap out every week. And you know, when you look at this and you compare it to just having 3 modes to choose from, it's a huge improvement, isn't it? It's much better. But it absolutely is not a better gaming experience overall. And why is that? Well, for me personally, it's because of skill-based matchmaking. Now, if you're unfamiliar with that term, basically what that means is, you know, it's going to try and match you up with players close to your skill level. And there is nothing wrong with that, depending on the environment in which you apply this. So for example, survival, where you earn glory, which is meant to be the competitive ranking in this game, this should have skill-based matchmaking. You should be playing players who are as good as you. However, I don't know if you guys have been playing much survival freelance as well. I know Bungie have just rolled out a patch saying they've made some changes to fix this specific thing I'm talking about, but there doesn't seem to be any skill-based matchmaking in the competitive playlist. I'm never matching players who are really at my level. It's usually always just, you know, they're just kind of not that good. I don't know what's going on in there. But this should be where skill-based matchmaking is heavily applied. But the way they've done it is basically, let me explain it to you. Skill-based matchmaking is applied to the following: this playlist, this playlist, this playlist, this playlist, this playlist, supposed to be these 2 playlists, and then this, you know, kind of obscure playlist in the bottom corner that kind of looks like private matches but it isn't, is classic mix. This is apparently the playlist where it doesn't prioritize skill and it prioritizes connection. And that brings me back to my classic mix cowards comment. So basically, you know, if I choose to play regular control, it's going to be skill-based matchmaking. It's going to be players who are, you know, pretty good at the game. And if I want to go in there and experiment and try a random loadout, like the one I'm using and the one that I'm working on at the moment is using Lumina with Helma Saint 14, right? So, you know, you'd think, okay, I'm going to do something kind of off meta. Let me go into classic mix and try that one out. And then what happens is you'll run into a 6-man team, all running hard meta, all good players, not like, you know, a mixed fire team with some guys who are not so great, some guys who are really good. It's kind of just, you know, they'll get 4 or 5 decent players and they'll come in here and they'll just start farming people. And I'm going to show you a game coming up really soon. You can see exactly what I mean. But basically what happens is then anyone who's above average is just abandoning all of these playlists right here. So if I try to play any of these playlists, here's what happens. I have a fucking long ass queue time, first of all. A very long ass queue time. Then you finally get a game. It's skill-based matchmaking, so it's going to be very sweaty. And what that means as well is it's pulling players from all over the place. It's not considering your connection as much. And therefore, it's also going to be very laggy, which is not nice. And basically, a lot of players just don't want to experience that. And so what they'll do is they'll all come into this playlist. And what happens is the intention of this playlist is then completely flipped on its head, because it's meant to be the chill playlist, but actually all the tryhards are coming in here in 6-man teams and they're just ruining what this playlist is supposed to be like. I'm going to switch to the gameplay now. Here you can see I loaded up classic mix and I'm put into like a 3v6 or something. I don't know what's going on here. It's like a 3v6. Everybody who started in this lobby, they all left and it threw me in there. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to stay in here because I need a good example of exactly what I mean. And this is exactly what I mean. You'll get a team of solid players. They'll all go into classic mix and they just want to pub stomp the living daylights out of whoever they match. Obviously, I think these guys, they probably know who I am, so they're teabagging and they're doing all of that as well. I honestly don't care about that at all. My real issue is that, you know, this shouldn't have been set up like this in the first place. If you ask me, what they should have done is had skill-based matchmaking in these 2 playlists. They should have had skill-based matchmaking here in classic mix. And then the rest of these playlists should be opened up to connection-based matchmaking. You get better connections, obviously, in the game. It makes it a better experience. It makes it a varied experience, depending on your skill level. Some games you might stomp, some games you'll get stomped, and some games will be middle of the road. There's variation in what you experience, and overall it's more enjoyable. Yes, if you're not the best player, then you should head into here. And if this playlist has skill-based matchmaking, all of the quote-unquote sweaty try-hard pub stompers, they won't go near that playlist, which basically essentially makes it a safe haven for players who are trying to learn the game. And then once you feel a bit more comfortable, you can go into the survival playlist and you can earn glory again with skill-based matchmaking in effect. You can grow at your own pace, so on and so forth. And you know, players who aren't so great, they're happy. Anyone who's just above average, they're happy because now they can play all of these playlists without feeling like you're going to play $1 million tournament against some virgin using NF, Dustrock, and Warcliffe Coil 13 months later after the weapon's been out. You know, people are psychopaths, man. They're just not sick of it. I personally don't know how it's fun to run in a squad and like just shit stomp to the point where the other team gets like 10 kills in the entire game and you just mercy them, or you like just about don't mercy them. Like these guys, I don't even know how they didn't manage to mercy. It was like a 6v3 the whole time. And it's just hilarious. Imagine though, okay, so it put me in there, and even though, yeah, I'm at a huge disadvantage for playing against a stack team, they all know who I am, they all want to kill me, blah, blah, blah. I still managed to do okay. I still, you know, got a few kills here, got a few kills there. Absolutely shit on them when I popped my bubble at one point. But imagine if that's just an average Joe player going into Classic Mix thinking, you know, this is going to be a nice, relaxing playlist, and then boom, you're in there against fucking 6 psychos who just, all they want to do is farm their KD, and, you know, that's it, that's all they care about. That is basically the state of the Crucible right now. And obviously, you know, average players or below average players, SPMM benefits them, so they can technically enjoy the playlists that they have on offer, all of those playlists. But, you know, eventually I feel like if you are going to sort of not necessarily screw over, but sort of neglect the hardcore PvP population, it overall hurts the game, and it's clearly hurting the game right now in terms of how Classic Mix is working out. All you have to do is queue up. I don't know about you guys, if what your experience has been like, but on average for me, I'm matching like a 6-man, and not like a casual 6-man where you can see it's genuinely like, you know, varied skill levels. And in that way, Classic Mix can be good, right? You have this problem where if you're a good player and you bring in your friend who's not as good as you, he's going to have a bad time. Well, if it's connection-based matchmaking, that's not necessarily going to be the case, is it? Everybody can do okay. It's random who you're going to match. You might match good players, you might match bad players. If you're one of the people who says, yeah, I get stomped every game, that's because you're probably not very good at the game, right? And therefore, if Classic Mix was the only connection-based, if Classic Mix was a skill-based matchmaking playlist, you can go in there and you can, you know, learn your trade and get better and all of that kind of thing, and it would be fine. There's a place for people to grow, there's survival to challenge yourself, and then everything else would be connection-based, which would make it better for everyone overall. Because now, as it stands, anyone who's a committed Crucible player looks at the other playlists and feels like they can't play them because they're going to just match people who are going to be really, really sweaty and really, really laggy, and it's just not a good time. Especially the guys who are going to form a 6-man fire team to farm stats, they don't want to play players as good as them. So they're not going to play Control regular. They're going to go straight into Classic Mix, and they're basically going to ruin the only connection-based playlists that we have in the game. And that's a big problem for me. Like I said, I'm kind of repeating myself at this point, but I feel like if you flip it on its head, this whole system works a hell of a lot better. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm going to let this joke of a game play out because, you know, I think it encapsulates the problem right now with matchmaking in general. You know, other players want to enjoy, you know, elimination, control, rumble, whatever the rotator is. People want to enjoy these playlists without feeling like, right, I have to play a competitive tournament in this game in order to do well. It's just not how it should be, in my opinion, and I don't see long term how this helps the game grow. I think if you're a new light player, there should definitely be a matchmaking bracket for you where you don't match players who've got a certain amount of time on the game, who've been playing it for a while. For new light guys, I think it's totally fine that they're like completely separate from everybody else. And then the rest of us should all be in one group, and then there should be one playlist that's specifically SPMM for players who want to challenge or players who want to play players who are as good as them, no matter what their skill level is. That's how it should be, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. As it stands, for me, as someone who's quote unquote a good player, or whatever you want to call it, I don't feel like I can go in solo in control and have a good time. The only option I really have as a solo player is to go into classic mix. And then even when you get into classic mix, you run into this shit. So overall, for me, matchmaking is not in a great place overall in the game. Now, I don't want people to think all I'm doing is complaining. I am really enjoying Shadowkeep. I think there are a bunch of great things that have been changed. In fact, I am planning on doing a top 5 video coming up very soon. Top 5 things that I love about Shadowkeep. So I want people to know that there are a lot of good things involved in the game as well. But as a PvP guy, I'm giving you my opinion on, skill-based matchmaking and, why I don't like it. So there it is, guys. Hope you enjoyed listening to me rant on for a bit. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button for more Destiny 2 Shadowkeep content. Peace.